Hey all, welcome back. Today we will be having a look at everyone's favourite dance-off king. It is Star-Lord. He has received a considerable buff with one of the recent patches to the game. Now in this video we'll start off having a look at his tags and how you unlock them. We'll check out his stats, we'll then have a look at the abilities, we'll check out his synergies, and then finally we'll see where he actually places in the tier list. So previously he was pretty underwhelming, there was far too much RNG in his kit, and for that reason I did place him as a tier 3 hero. So it'll be interesting to see how much he does jump up here. Now let's start off with the general overview. Star-Lord then is a controller class, and he's all really about feeding energy to his allies to help him out, but despite being a controller he can actually put out a considerable amount of damage as well. Now when we look at his tags, he's got some pretty useful ones here. You've got Hero, Cosmic, Tech, Controller and the Guardians of the Galaxy tag. Cosmic is great for that campaign, which is pretty tough, and there's some nice heroes locked behind it. You've got the Tech tag, which is fantastic now thanks to Vision. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy tag is fantastic, and that is due to Star-Lord, and we'll actually see that once we do start looking at the abilities. Now in regards to unlocking him, he is a pretty exclusive character at the moment. He's only available via the legendary event that requires a set amount of Ravenger and also Guardians of the Galaxy characters, so he will be a hard farm, but he is most definitely worth the effort. Now let's have a look at his stats. We start off here then having a look at the offensive stats. Now his base damage is really quite low, that's down at E, but on his ultimate, which is his main source of damage, he has an exceptionally high multiplier, so he still can put out a really nice amount of damage. His speed is very nice, he's way up at A, so he'll be attacking and providing energy very often. And then his focus, that didn't actually change with the patch, so he's still got the lowest focus out of all the controller classes, so when it does come to his special there is still that lower chance that it will actually apply and the enemy will resist it there. Now also from an offensive side of things, he's got a huge amount of assists in his kit, and he's worked very well with Guardians of the Galaxy characters, and again that's something that we'll look at a lot more once we do get to the abilities. Now offensive stats have been covered, so let's have a look at the defensive stats. Defense wise, he actually does not too bad for a controller class. His health is definitely on the lower side, that is down at D. However, he's got really nice armour, that's way up at B, and also his resistance is up at A as well, so it will be exceptionally hard to stun him, which means he can keep going and giving energy out to the other characters, which will be really helpful. So simple enough for the defensive stats section. He doesn't have anything else additional in his kit to provide him with survivability. Now let's have a look at his abilities. For the abilities here, we have 4 in total we'll look at. It's the basic, special, ultimate and also the passive. Now these are the part of Star-Lord's kit which have seen a massive buff, and they really do make him incredible now. Now the first one we look at, this is the passive called Improvisation. So it's quite a long tooltip here, and this is potentially one of the best passives in the game. So with this, on turn you have a 50% chance to generate 1 to 2 ability energy for adjacent allies and generate 1 to 2 ability energy for Guardian allies. Now what's so great about this now is it applies the energy to adjacent allies, so that means based on the positioning of Star-Lord you can choose who you feed the energy to. Previously the energy would go to random heroes, so sometimes it would go to a hero that was maybe already topped up and had all the skills maxed out, so it was essentially wasted. So this is much better that you can now do this, and with this actually you've got high chances of having the likes of Rocket having his ultimate on close to almost every turn, which is incredible. Now also with this passive, Guardian allies gain 30% damage and they also gain 20% speed, which is just incredible. So for this reason you want to max this passive out. When we look at the basic, this was a skill that had a large element of RNG in it as well. It had a chain, but the chain chance was way down at 30%, so it was nigh on useless. Now, the basic enemy is called Element Gun. With it now, you attack the primary target for 310% damage, and you chain to 1 to 2 additional targets for 250% damage, so there's no longer a proc chance on the chain and it's guaranteed. One thing you do have to watch out for is that counter attacks will actually break the chain there. Now with this you want to take it up to level 5 minimum, because then that gives you the chance to chain to 1 to 2 rather than just 1 targets. Anything after that is just giving you some additional damage, so it's really down to you if you've got the extra materials to upgrade that. For the special we have a great skill here called Clever Distraction. It's 4 turns of charge and comes fully charged. With this you grant 2 ability energy to random adjacent allies. So the change with this is that it's adjacent allies, so again they've stripped away the RNG and you can choose who you feed the energy to, so this really is great. Now with this also you apply blind to primary target and the second target, and then you have a 50% chance to apply to a third target as well. So that can be really nice, but because of his lower focus it won't always apply. That's just something to bear in mind there. This particular skill is also unavoidable as well. Regarding how high you want to level this, I would say take it up to level 6, because that will grant you the 2 ability energy to random adjacent allies, and the blind will still apply to 2 targets, and all you're really losing between level 6 and level 7 is that a 50% chance to apply blind to the third target. So it's a 1 in 2 chance to apply it, but you have to get past the resistance check as well, so I don't feel it's worthwhile the materials there, so keep this one at level 6. The final ability we look at here is one that's received a small buff, but it was actually very good prior to the patch as well. It's called Elemental Blast. It's 5 turns to charge and comes fully charged. Now both his special and ultimate you can use on the first turn, and they're both actually very good. I like to use this particular one in the first turn if there's a dangerous target that I know that I can actually take out due to the huge amount of damage we'll be doing. So the likes of Yondu or Gamora, you can easily take them out in the first turn with this. Now with it you attack the primary target for 550% damage. It used to be 530, so we've gained a slight increase there, and you get an assist from a Guardian's ally. Now the important part of this, if you only pair him up with one other Guardian's ally, then you're guaranteed to get the assist from that particular character. So if you put him with the likes of Gamora or Rocket, that can work exceptionally well there. Also with this you always gain an additional assist from a random ally as well, so that's 550% damage and then 2 additional attacks as well. It really is incredible, and you want to max this out. Now with the abilities covered, let's have a look at his synergies. When we look at characters that you can work well with, firstly you do have the Guardians of the Galaxy characters, and that's really down to that huge passive bonus he offers on the speed and the damage. It works particularly well with Gamora. Now when we look at specific Guardians of the Galaxy characters that can work really great, these are tied in with the ultimate that we mentioned a moment ago. So with the ultimate he will get a guaranteed assist, so pair him up with Gamora for her basic or Rocket for his AoE basic, and that can work really nice there. Also with Rocket he provides extra damage to tech characters, and Star-Lord has that tech tag. Now with Star-Lord providing so much energy to your team, if you pair him up with Thanos as well and you're running through the likes of story mode or raid, you'll have energy regenerating all over the screen. That can be a really nice combo. Also regarding his own energy regeneration, it comes from a special. If you put him in the far right or far left of the screen, and what you can do is you can specifically choose that he has a higher chance to apply energy to a certain ally, so that can work really good for Crossbones to get his ultimate off as soon as possible, and the same with Quake as well. Lastly we have 2 characters that can work really nice due to the tech tag. You've got Vision that can provide the defense up to him for the first 2 turns, and then you've got Iron Man that can really up his crit chance, and that can work particularly well with the hard hitting ultimate there. Now with the allies covered, let's have a look at the enemies you want to avoid. When we look at characters you want to avoid, we don't actually have the greatest list here. Now, one of Star-Lord's few weaknesses is his low focus when applying that blind, so if you go up against a team that has Jessica Jones in it, she provides extra resistance to allies, making the blind harder to actually apply. Same goes with if you go up against a Ronin and Kree team, so it's funny to see that Ronin could be an adversary for him there. And then you have Daredevil, who won't be affected by the blind. Finally, a lot of Star-Lord's survivability comes from his high armour, so if you go up against the likes of Wolverine or Hawkeye, who have unavoidable attacks that actually do a huge amount of piercing, then they could give him some trouble there. But other than that, he doesn't really have a lot of natural enemies, which is really nice. Now, what we'll do to finish up, we'll see where he places in the tier list now. Previously then with Star-Lord, he is a character that showed a lot of potential, but there was just far too much RNG in his kit, and that was the reason that I did actually have him as it was more of a mid-tier level 3 character. Now, the developers have addressed these issues and more. Now, if we actually look at his kit now, previously you had the basic, which had the 30% chance to chain. He now has the 100% chance to chain to at least up to 1 additional target. He can chain up to 2. You've got the fact that on his special now you can essentially choose who you're generating the energy to based on his placement, so they've removed the RNG there. On his ultimate, it's doing additional damage, and it was already a fantastic skill, so that's got even better. And if you pair him up with Gamora, just as an example there, if her basic was able to get the triple hit on it, you could be looking to do over 1000% damage at the start of a fight. Really absolutely incredible. And then finally we've got his passive with the stripped the layers of RNG in that as well, and they added a massive buff to the Guardians of the Galaxy team. So absolutely incredible what they've done with him. Star-Lord should always be a character that in my mind is really quite powerful. He is the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy after all. Now, with the changes they have made to him, I would say that he actually moves up to a low Omega tier character. Now, the reason he's a low Omega tier character and he's not a mid or a high is with my Omega rating, the characters that I would say would be the high Omega tier are ones that can add value and fit into any team. Now, Star-Lord certainly does help out any team with his energy regeneration, but a small part of his kit is geared towards the Guardians of the Galaxy allies, so if you don't pair him up with them, you're not making the most of them, but you can get away with pairing them up with even one ally and see the benefits from it there. So a mega character, it's great to see him again in my mind where he should be. It was the same when they done the change on Spidey and he's now a mega character. Spidey should really be top tier, and I believe that Star-Lord should be top tier as well. So let me know what you think in the comments below of the changes they've made to Star-Lord, if you're happy with how they've actually done this, and even what other characters you would like to see get the Star-Lord stroke Spidey treatment and made a lot better. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all again soon.